Thank you so much for this opportunity. I would like to kindly request, if it's possible, those who are seated at the back to move to the front. It amazes me how in a church, people go for the back seats. And yet, if it was in a movie, a theater, the front seats are the ones that are going to be occupied. In my life, please move to the front. In my life, I have gone to watch a movie once in my entire life. I'm not a watcher, so I don't watch. I hardly ever watch any TV, but I do a lot of reading. I'll be doing a bit of moving here this way. I want people to move to the front. So I've only gone to a movie once. And this is the reason why I went to a movie. Okay. So I need to stand. I need to be confined here because of the online. Okay, I do get it. Let me just stand here. So I was saying that it amazes me why and how in church people want to go for the back seats and leave the front seat. And yet in a movie, people want to sit at the front and they leave the back seat. I don't know why. So in my entire life, I have only gone to a movie once. And I wasn't planning to go. This is what happened. I was in the university. Some of you were my juniors in university, so you know. And during that time, I had a lot of people who were interested in me, Nasiringi. So now, one of them asked me to go with him to a movie, to go watch a movie. He had not asked me anything and had not said yes, but he looked interesting. So he took me to a movie. Had never gone to a movie. I didn't know what happens in a movie. So apparently people buy popcorn and soda to go watch a movie. I don't know why that is the case. So he bought popcorn and soda. So when we went to the movie theater, it was full. It was only a few seats at the back. So we sat at the back. For about 1 hour we were watching the movie. I understood nothing. I saw nothing. Let me tell you, close your eyes. Just close your eyes, please. Everybody close your eyes. What can you see? Can you really see dark? How can you see dark and your eyes are closed? No, what can you see? That's how I was the entire time I was in the movie. I saw nothing. I saw nothing. Me, I was not getting. But him, he seemed to really be enjoying the movie. And even seemed to be, like the way he's whispering to me that, oh yes, gee, ooh, this person. He's like making reference. And I had to pretend I'm following. So I would smile, maybe inappropriately. And sometimes he'd say, oh yeah. But I'm seeing nothing, I'm hearing nothing. Now, let me tell you, this person went to Alliance. So now I'm like, okay, now he went to Alliance. So probably I just have to, these are things they know from Alliance. Me, I don't know. So I had to pretend all along. For that 1 hour, I pretended all along. But I was looking for the end of the movie because I knew at the end of it, I was really hungry. In university campus, there you can be really hungry. We are going to eat dinner somewhere. So whenever I kept wondering, people are full in the movie theater. They are occupying the front seats. I'm seeing nothing. I'm hearing nothing. Up to now, if somebody says watching a movie, me, I see nothing, I hear nothing. So I am just wondering. So I'm asking myself, is it that you are hearing nothing and seeing nothing? That's why you're going to the back and not coming to the front? Okay, anyway, so you're welcome again back to the house of God. We are going to have a discussion this afternoon. So today I don't want us to miss the essence of the day. It's Adventist Women Emphasis Day. And so we are going to look at the issues that are facing women worldwide. Not just women, but these issues actually also face men. And if the issues are solved or they are tackled, life is going to be easier, both even for men and children and for everybody else. And I like the song that was suggested by Caleb and I think the other child on Hark the Voice of Jesus Calling. Who will go and work today? So sometimes if we are in a privileged congregation, we may think that these issues don't affect us. But we are going to see how it is not okay until everybody is okay. These issues, we may think that they are affecting people out there, but they affect all of us. Worldwide. And so the question that again we are asking is, will you go? And I pray that we will all answer, I will go, which is the theme for our general conference. That I will go. now, a few months, it's like a month ago, I went to speak in a church. It was an ambassador's week of prayer. So we had an entire week of speaking to the ambassadors in the afternoon and speaking to the church in the evening. So I decided not to have the ambassadors program streamed live. I told them the ambassadors program, we are not streaming it live because we want it to be heart to heart. So we would go from 2 o'clock, we put our seats round and we talk about real issues affecting ambassadors. Now, one of the times, one of the ambassadors asked a question that really makes me sad even today. I've not recovered. So this was the question that was asked to me. The note was sent, and I'm trying to say, sometimes you think you are okay, but you're not okay until other people are okay. This was the question. So the ambassadors asked me, he said, it was anonymous, so the paper just came. He said that my father passed away, I think a year or 2 ago, on a road accident. The father died on the road accident with their younger brother. So they were, as a family, I think they were coming from their father's business. So the car had an accident and the father died with the younger brother. So they were left 3 of them, I think 2 brothers and a sister. So he said, I'm feeling so heartbroken because my mother, who was left, brings older men home at night. My mother brings older men, and I'm feeling so heartbroken, and she has no time for my sister. The sister should be 3 years now. I'm so angry. I don't know what to do. I mean, it literally broke my heart. And I even thought somebody was joking. You know, though you think somebody is just pranking you by asking a question. And in my mind, I automatically thought, just see my bias, I thought this must be a girl asking the question. No, I just thought, I thought this must be a girl. So I answered the question the best that I could. But it really broke my heart. I couldn't function properly that day. I think it's one of the worst questions I've ever been asked. So when I went to after the message, I went to the preparation room to prepare for the evening program. A handsome young man came, and then he said, I'm the one who asked you that question. I said, okay. I didn't want to talk with him further because I was really breaking down and I was going to speak to the church. So I said, please take my number. Let's talk about this later. So that was, I think, like on Thursday. So we didn't talk. Then on Sunday, we were supposed to climb Nandi Hills with the ambassadors. So I said, I really hope you come. He said, I will come. So we took 13 hours climbing the mountain. So he came to where I was and he said, I want us to talk about it. I said, okay. So he said, my mother is young because I'm 17 and my mother is 31. He's 17 and the mother is 31. So he said, my mother is an orphan and she gave birth to me when she was 14. So she was staying with a relative. She was an orphan that was adopted by a relative. So she was staying with a relative, and at 14, she gave birth to this boy. So the relative kept staying with the child and the mother went to high school. When she completed high school at 17, she got another child. And she said, this is my brother, who my mother got at 17. The brother, I think, is also in Form 4 or something like Class 8. I think he had just completed Standard 8. She said he has done very well. He's joining a national school. So it's me and my brother. So my mother later got married, and she said, this person who died wasn't my real dad, but he was her father. He took very good care of us, and he really helped us a lot. And now he got an accident with our brother, now who was the biological son, and left a girl with 3 years. So I said, okay. She said, I really want to help my mother. I don't know what to do because my mother is drinking too much. And she says, my mother would drink and come with 5 men at night. And when they come, and the men start saying, and they're drunk and they're staggering, and they're telling my sister, who is 3 years old, call us daddy, we are your father. And this young man told me, now, I just sit up when they go to the bedroom with the men, I sit up reading my Bible. And when I'm reading my Bible, my mother comes and tells me, go to bed, go to bed. He said, how can I go to bed in such a situation? And I can see she's not taking care of my sister. I was really heartbroken. So, long story short, I'm not blaming the mother at all. That's not why I'm saying the story. But the reason why I'm saying the story is, you see already in my mind, I was sort of like biased because I thought this must be a girl child asking this question. And then I realized it's a boy child asking me this question. And he decides him is just reading the Bible, he's feeling so helpless. He doesn't know what to do. I said, so what are you planning? He said, I completed Form 4, I'll be joining university. So I said, are there means? He said, yes, my father left a business, but because my mother is not available, the people are eating up the money in the business. You know, obviously, you know business. So he said, I don't know. So I told him the best thing you can do is to work very hard when you go to university, because in case of anything, you're the one left to take care of your siblings, now the ones who are left. And it was so sad, and I just said, you know, you can already see, you know, sometimes when we think, these are women issues, these are girl issues, but you can see how this issue with the mother is now affecting the children. And I just don't know how you can make sense out of some things and whatever is happening. So I said, can your mother talk to somebody? She said, no, you try to talk to my mother, she blocks you. So she said the relatives have tried, but the mother will just block them. And I said, I'm not blaming her because she's also coming from somewhere. So all of us, we can take action. We actually need to take action now on the issues that are affecting women worldwide. Today being a Women Ministries Day, because these issues ultimately will affect all of us. Nobody is safe when we have issues still affecting our women, still affecting our girls. And the Bible says from what we read in the morning, Acts chapter 5, verse 29, and it says, then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God rather than men. Today, I want us to choose to obey God rather than men. And many times when I talk this message to many congregations, people are quick to tell me, you know, that's our culture, you know, that's our religion. I'm just wondering, is your culture serving you? People make culture. Culture does not make people. We can learn and relearn. And I'm saying this in advance because some of the things I'm going to talk about, somebody is going to think I'm going against their culture. Let's pray. Father, once again, we pray that you speak to us, for we believe in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. So one of the issues that is affecting women, and this has even been shared, if we go to the Women Ministries, Adventist Women Ministries website, the General Conference, you're going to see these issues highlighted. And so as women leaders, we are supposed to talk about these issues so that each of us can see what we can do, so that we can bridge the gap. Now, access to education is one of the issues that is affecting women globally. According to a report shared by UNESCO, 31 million girls of primary age, they were not in school. And about 10 out of 4 young women in developing countries, Kenya included, they never completed their primary school education. Educated women are likely to get married later, survive childbirth, raise healthy kids, find work, and even earn more money. So when we have our girls not being in school, they are left at a disadvantage because they are likely to get pregnant, they are likely to get children. And something that I just want to say, especially if we have younger people here who are not married, especially the men, did you know that the IQ of your wife is, the IQ, the intelligent quotient of your wife is what is directly related to the intelligence of your children? Did you know that? Did you know that because women are the primary caregivers of children, they determine the outcome of the children than men? Did you know that? I know one of the people that I know identity with health. He's a very educated person, sharp, intelligent man, very intelligent. So when he was getting married, he married somebody, well, he says that he was looking for somebody who is spiritually grounded and somebody who is attractive, like beautiful. So he got this lady, she's really beautiful and she's very spiritual. He said that was the only thing he was looking at, not about the level of intelligence and everything. And so he got married to her. He's very intelligent, super intelligent, senior person in this country. So he married this lady. And by saying that, I'm not saying that anybody is less than another, but I'm simply saying that you can be unequally yoked, even when both of you are in church. Do you know that? You know, talking about equally yoked is not about Adventist. That is the place. Church is where you begin, not where you end. So you need to be equally yoked, even in the level of your intelligence. So he married this lady. She had not done well in high school if she completed. So she couldn't go anywhere further than high school. But him is an educated senior person. I'm not going to divulge a lot of detail to protect the identity. Now, he has children. He has 4 children. The children are sharp. But then because he's very busy, most of the time the children spend with their mother, like 90% of the time, maybe 80, 85. Who do you expect the children to be like? I'm asking. Who do you expect these children to be like? To be like? And that's the story. And that's the story. The children spend 80, 85% with the mother. Him is high flying, is working all over and sharp like sharp can be. The children, all of them, almost, they have become like their mother. Even those who are gifted intellectually, they don't put a lot of value in working hard. So they have become, and the mother told me herself, she said, my children have become like me. Because she said to me, I never used to be serious. So when I was asking her, can you consider going to college? Because she hasn't gone to college. I said, with the liberalization of education, you can even go to college, do a course. She said, no, I'm not interested. And probably her grade or something could not allow, and she didn't have the grit to do any what do we call it, any bridging or anything. So she didn't go beyond Form 4. The children have become like the mother. The 4 children. The 4 children have become like their mother. She says herself, she says, I'm trying to tell my children to be like their father. Now my children have become like me. So I'm not even the one diagnosing her. She says it. My question is, it's a law of nature. By beholding, we become changed. You have taken these children, they are spending 85% of the time with someone. How do you expect them to be like the person who they are seeing 15%? That's a visitor. You know, even if you say you don't want to believe in nature, you want to pray to God, nature will believe in you. So you don't even need to believe in nature. Nature will believe in you because God is a God of nature. That is what the children are exposed to. And I have been reflecting on this issue and just asking myself and saying, if we don't enable our girls to go to school and advance to the highest level that they can be, and women are the primary caregivers, women are the ones who give birth to children, how are we expecting these children to be? Okay? So it's in our best interest as a church, as a society, to ensure that our girls, those who are disadvantaged especially, they get the highest level of education. Now, the second issue that women and girls face worldwide is employment opportunities. Women face challenges when it comes to employment opportunities. Did you know that women earn less than men by 70%? Research shows that women earn less than men by 70%. I'm saying a woman who is qualified as the man, she will be earning 70% less than the man is earning. As a matter of fact, just because of the gender, as a matter of fact, 1/10 of the world's income, women earn 1/10, 10% of the world's income. Women earn 10% of the world's income, despite working 2/3 of the hours. Let me break this down. Out of the whole number of hours worked, women will work 75% of the time, then they earn 10% of the money. Do you understand what I'm saying? Do you understand? So women will work the most hours. When you put the man hours or the woman hours, they are more, and then they will earn 10%. By empowering women to earn their fair share, we could benefit entire communities in a big way, because women are likely to invest more of their money back in their families and their communities than men typically do. No offense. The other day I was speaking in Egesa FM, and the presenter was not happy with me when I said he was asking me to advise parents who believe that if they don't have a son, they don't have a child. So he was asking me to advise, and I asked him, in your family, who has built the home for your parents? Who has built? For me, I know in my home, the first stone house my mother owned, I'm the one who built it. And not with my salary, but with the money I saved from my loan. My mother right now has a car. I'm the one who bought it for her because I didn't want her to suffer when she's sick and going to hospital. I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters. We are 3. So I don't know about your families, and I'm not even blaming anybody. So when I'm talking about issues faced by women, I'm not even saying that the problems are caused by men. No, they are not caused by men. They are not caused by individual men. It is problems that are caused by society. So, I was coaching another lady the other day. She was working in a financial institution. So she told me that she realized in the same position that she was working, when she talked to the men working in that position, they were earning three times more than she was earning. Same position, and she was the best performer. It was showing. If like she was earning 50,000, the men in that position were earning 150,000 and above. I'm not kidding. She told me that, and she told me when she learned, she put in her resignation because she felt so humiliated. Because above that, she was the best performer. It was showing clearly, and they were earning 3 times simply because of their gender, nothing else. So she put in her resignation because she felt so humiliated. The organization said, no, we can't lose you. What do you want? She said, no, I'm leaving. They said, we can increase your salary. Do you want 3 times? She said, no, I'm leaving. Because she felt so humiliated, having been discriminated on the basis of gender. Then they said, we will create a position higher than this position you are in, give it to you, and give you more money for that position. She said, no, I'm leaving. So she decided to quit. They were so disappointed. They decided to take her to court over something. They just brought dispute because they didn't want her to leave. They made her lose all her pension. She said, it's fine, but I'm leaving. She left, went to another place, did interview. She was asked for the amount of money. She said she got the job. Then when she found out, she realized the men working in the same position were earning double what she had asked for, and they were giving her. Okay, we are not entirely blaming the organization because she also asked for the money. So the issue more is, they say women undersell themselves, men oversell themselves. Like if you asked, people just say you asked a woman, they will put themselves below their skills because they do not think that they can do better, but the men normally will oversell themselves. That's the way it is. And sometimes I wonder whether as parents we have contributed to that. Because you will see a parent introducing their children, they will say, this is my beautiful girl. And then they will say, this is my intelligent son. I am asking, why don't we hear you saying that this is my handsome son, but your son is strong, intelligent, your girl is beautiful? It's fine, she's beautiful, but is that all? Is that all that she brings to the table? And sometimes I even hear elders introducing their wives, and they're saying, my beautiful wife. That's okay, but is that all? Can beauty solve problems? Can it solve problems? Really, I don't know. So I wonder, is it because we are passing this thing of, my girl is beautiful, so she knows, me, I'm here, I'm served on the table because of beauty. Then the boy is intelligent. So him, wherever he goes, he values himself, he knows I'm intelligent. But the girl just knows I'm beautiful. She never had enough of being intelligent, being strong, and being what. So this one, to me, it makes me wonder, because if the women are earning 10%, and then many homes are being run by women, if there were more young children here and even younger youth, I will call them and I will ask, if you want a book, who do you go to ask? School fees, who pays for you? A lot of them would just say my mom. And even older people who are here, I ask, how many of you can just say you are here because of your dad? Listen, I said this is not blaming anybody. It's not because of men or individual man, because women are having these challenges. It's because of societal issue, something that each of us can do something. So if women are earning 10%, then they are using the 10% to run their families. Don't you see that we are losing 90%? This 90%, a lot of it we are losing. So if we enabled the women to just earn their fair share, they earn their fair share, it will empower, it will go to empower communities. So it's something that we actually need to rethink. When I was growing up in the village, we have tea. So I used to see the people who used to pick for us tea. They were all women actually, like 100% were all women. And even in the other tea places, tea plantations, coffee and what. The day that the money is being paid, the salary, whatever is called, and bonus, my school was next to a tea buying center. My school was next to, not a tea buying center, a factory. A tea factory where the money is paid. So the day you are coming from school for lunch, you will just know there's money payout because you will have no way of walking. Like people have crowded wamepanga laini kuchukua mshahara. And let me tell you, I didn't see a woman. 100% of the people collecting the money, they were men, but in the tea farm, they were women. It really used to bother me. And some men would use the money for their families, but a lot of the men would disappear. They earn that money, they disappear. They come when they have nothing. So I used to ask my mother, but why is it that it's the men who are going to collect the money, but it's women picking the tea? And she used to give me an answer that will annoy me so much. She will tell me, because they are men. Because they are men. So I said, so if you're born as a man, now you can go pick money for tea. If you're born as a woman, you will now be the one slaving and picking the tea. And it used to make me very sad. And it's so sad that I hear, even in some places in Kisii County, there is a place, my colleague told me this story. My colleague is from Western, he's a lawyer. He works in Kisii. He's a medical doctor in Kisii. So he told me that I have seen something in Kisii that I never saw in Western. I said, what is it? He said, we were doing some field work, some community work in Bonchari. So he said, we go to Bonchari, somebody from Bonchari here. He says, we go to Bonchari, and there were many young men on the road, strong young men in the morning, and there was road construction in Bonchari. And who was constructing the road in Bonchari? Women. Women are constructing roads in Kisii. Me, I was told. He said, so he looked. He's like, no, I've never seen this thing. Women constructing a road and men just seated in the marketplace and just talking early morning. I'm not saying 2 o'clock, early morning. He said, no, this cannot be the case. And then back in the hospital, the reason why I was doing this research, it was because in the hospital, Kisii level 6 or level 5, Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital, where he works, a lot of older men were being brought in the hospital with jiggers. You know, when you have jiggers, the next thing is death. As in jiggers for real in this era. We were doing some course with him. He said it's because older Kisii men who are living in permanent houses were being brought by workers to Kisii Teaching and Referral Hospital with jiggers. Akila ona choma, with jiggers. So they went to the community to find out what is happening with these older men. And they found this one, the wife is in Minnesota. This one, the wife is in Texas. This one, the wife is in South Africa. This one, the wife is in Nairobi. Hey, maybe your mother, Amanda, Uko, taking care of children, grandchildren. The grandfathers, the men are in Kisii, big permanent house with a worker. So nobody is taking care of these old men. They are getting jiggers, and some are sick and hungry. So he started relating these two incidents. He said, I have seen in Bonchari, women making roads, constructing roads to pay school fees. And here, the old men are being brought. And then this is what he did, the research, and this is what he found out. The children have seen how the mother has struggled to construct roads to pay school fees. Then they go, they are in the US, they are in Minnesota. If you are in Minnesota, please, I'm not talking about you. Then they say, our mother suffered. Wacha mami ajienjoy. They call the mother. She gets a green card. She goes. There is even a church where they have a Kisii service. But in Texas, Dallas. And the pastor so-and-so preaches. Taki kusema jina, but he's doing a good job. Pastor Nani anahubiria wale wa mama wa Kisii, wazee Kisii, nakwambia lesson and everything. Because they have relocated. The old men are in Kisii. And when the mother comes back home, if the son is calling, if the father picks, maybe the mother is in the kitchen, the father picks the phone. Pati ya mami yo simu, without even saying anything. If he's sending money, it passes through the mother. If he comes now home, the mother is in the kitchen, the son goes to the kitchen. And they are talking and chatting and laughing. The mzee is cold and lonely in the sitting room. Then he will wake up, go to the kitchen to enjoy the conversation. Immediately the mzee steps, they keep quiet. They keep quiet. They keep quiet. And they were chatting. Then when he leaves, they start laughing. Then he starts saying, this woman has done what? Incited the children. Really? If she has managed to incite the children, then you didn't bring them up well. Really? How does she incite adults? The thing is, if you never connected, if you were not there for them when they were children, they cannot be there for you in your old age. They will only send the money for your medical. That's fine. You'll be taken to Kisii Teaching and Referral to be removed jiggers. Pesa watatuma. And they will send workers. But there's nothing. Because even if you paid school fees, you just paid school fees. And that's what they are paying you back. Nothing. There was no love. There was no connection. I hope Kissy fathers listening to me, you turn the tide because you don't want to suffer. I think it also maybe happens elsewhere. I think in central Kenya, things went south kitambo sana. I'm not even talking about Kiambu and Nyeri. Things went south. It's only God who can deliver the fathers from central province. At least I think in Kisii, there's a bit of hope now. Now you see hate speech. Anyway, so it is critically important for us to support. So if you're working in an organization and you can see that it's unfair, that people are paid more just because of their gender, and people think that, oh, you know, the men need more money. Really? Is that so? Let us support that everybody gets equal and fair pay for job done. Now, number 3, the third issue that is faced by women and girls worldwide is reproductive health and rights. A lot of women in developing countries, more than 74 million, they have an unmet need for family planning. And we have a lot of unplanned pregnancies and even abortions. Doctors will tell you that the greatest number of people having abortions, a colleague who is a gynecologist told me that it's more married women who seek abortion services. That means that they have an unmet need for family planning. So when they get pregnant, I don't want to say unwanted, I want to say unintended pregnancies. How many of your children were planned? How many of your children were planned? Statistics show that 70% of people were not planned for. 70%. 7 out of 10 of us, we were not planned for. So you can see the unmet need. And I'm not saying there's any child who is unwanted, but I'm simply saying that when somebody gets a child at a time that they were not prepared to get the child, there's a lot. There's a lot that in terms of opportunities, in terms of resources, you have to basically readjust a lot of things. It's not as easy as that, taking care of another whole human being. I love my children so much and I cannot give anything for my children. But I also know that I have made major sacrifices for the sake of my children. I have made major sacrifices, like darkness and light, because of my children. So I do acknowledge the fact that raising a child, it requires a lot of mental, emotional, financial resources and everything. And what scares me the most is when God asks me, where are the jewels that I gave you? Because I am not sure. I have tried, but sometimes I just look and I just say, here, I hope on the last day, I hope I will not cry that I didn't do. So it's important that families are able to plan so that they know that they are not the only ones who are asked to fill the earth. You're not the only one. When you are told to fill the earth, all the earth is not yours. Even it's also for other people to fill. And maybe it's even already filled. Who knows? And you can also even take care of those who are already in the earth. You don't have to biologically give birth to yours. So the fourth challenge, issue, problem that is faced by women worldwide, I don't know where my son is. Where is Nathaniel? It's important to know where our children is. Okay, I hope he comes. So the fourth one is maternal health. Maternal health. The World Health Organization estimates that 500 women die every day from preventable pregnancy-related causes. Imagine, like now, we have sat here from morning to now, 500 women have died out of pregnancy and childbirth-related complications. Do you know that pregnancy and childbirth-related complications is the #1 cause of death among girls 15 to 19 years? It's the #1 cause of death in young girls. Pregnancy and childbirth-related complications. So when a girl child gets pregnant, when she has not matured, she's at risk of getting sick and even dying. Nobody should die when giving life, but sadly that's the case. Last year alone, I remember four young girls, young women, 4 that I know within my circle, they died last year during COVID, childbirth. 2 of them left twins, and the other ones left the baby that was being born, and they also left children who are under 10 years. And during COVID, they had complications related to pregnancy because of COVID. They got COVID and they died, 4 of them, just without thinking so far, I know. Now, do you think those children who are left by their mothers, especially even the one who was left at birth, do you think their lives will ever be the same? You know, when you lose your father and you're a child, it leaves a hole in your heart that will never be filled. But when you lose a mother as a child, I can tell you, your life will never, ever be the same again. It is like you are traveling to Mombasa and then you shift to Kisumu. The destination in your life completely changes because of the loss of your mother, and you never recover. Even when you are 90 years old, 95, you lost your mother as a child, you will never recover, I tell you. You won't recover. Sometimes I tell people when we are talking about grief, that sometimes if you're talking to somebody and they have lost a mother and you have never lost yours, I think you'd better just shut up sometimes. Just keep quiet and just listen to them and just pray for them. Because some of the things sometimes you throw at somebody, you don't understand the magnitude of what you're talking about. So these children lost their mothers at birth, and some things are just very difficult to even think about. So you can imagine a mother she's getting a child and she dies. So we have about 500 women because of access to services and because the services that are offered, maybe they are not standard. It is so tough, it's so challenging, and it's simply unacceptable that women are dying every day, 500 during childbirth. Now, the 5th problem that is experienced by women and girls worldwide is gender-based violence. Gender-based violence. 1 in every 3 women experience physical or sexual violence in their lifetimes. According to the World Health Organization, 1 out of 3 women experience physical or sexual violence. Whether it's domestic abuse, rape, or sexual trafficking, gender-based violence denies far too many women the opportunity to live happy, healthy, and fulfilling lives. This one, I cannot even talk about it enough. Because the problem, what makes me very angry, is the fact that even in church, we sanitize, we normalize abuse. You know, somebody shared with me something that really broke my heart. She said they were having a family life week in a church in Nairobi, a church of elite people. I'm not naming the church. So they were having the family life discussion. And then, family life week of prayer. And then somebody asked a question on domestic violence. Of course, we know that because of the many advantages that men have, including the male privilege, more women are abused. So when this woman asked a question that, what do you do when you are in an abusive situation? What do you do? This is what the senior pastor answered. Senior respected pastor who has been leading higher levels of our church. He said, Jesus died for mankind. It is okay if you died for the sake of your marriage. You will be following Jesus' example because he died for the church. I am telling you, this woman told me that. She came to me and she was crying. And she was saying, this is what Pastor so-and-so, a name that you know, I'm not naming nobody. This is what he said. He answered in an online session that is being watched globally. He said it's okay to die in an abusive marriage because even Jesus died for your sins. Yeah? What kind of theology is that? Right from the pit of hell. Right from the pit of hell. That, oh my God, I don't know. Some things are just very difficult to imagine. Yeah, that's what he said. And I just said, if you want to know an abuser, you just know from the way they respond. You can just tell that that person is abusive. So, and actually, I even think that when we say 1 out of 3 women experience physical or sexual violence, I think these statistics, it was done in the developed countries. I don't think it was done here in the developing countries. Because as a society, and again, I will repeat, I'm not saying that the problems of women are caused by men. The problems of women, it's not about a man or men. It's about our society in general, and all of us can do something. You know, a lot of us, some of the things that were passed to us as culture, male privilege. And sometimes I feel we have traumatized, can I use that big word? We have traumatized our sons because of the way we have raised them to think that they're entitled to female bodies and to look at women as body parts and not as human beings created in the image of God. The other day I saw in the office that I work, I supervise students. This male student came, he just came in the office and then he started grabbing a girl, a lady, student as well. They are both adults, they're in college. This girl was a Muslim. And she kept on saying, stop, stop. And he's grabbing her. Let me tell you, I was totally shocked. So you can imagine by the time he's doing that in an office, we are all there, it's like he's seeing there's nothing wrong. So the girl is saying, stop it. And he's grabbing her by force. I said, wait. Do you realize that what you're doing is criminal? You are sexually harassing her. Why are you holding her? Why are you touching her? And she has not, and she's telling you to stop. And this young man said, kwani nimekosa? He was completely clueless. Like he didn't think that what he was doing to this girl, there's anything wrong. You saw the other day in the papers, we had rugby players. We had these boys, rugby players. Their star was shining and they were doing very well in their career. They went with a girl. They bought alcohol, whatever they took alcohol. Then they took her to a house and they raped this girl. Well, they had sex without her consent in a house. They were in court. If you saw that, I like using that example for my sons, Iwe Funzo. So, and then in their defense, they are saying she agreed to go out with us and she took alcohol and we went with her to the house. You know, I think they have been imprisoned. And their star was shining. Young men, I think they were in their 20s because of sexual abuse. And probably at that time when they were doing it, they did not even realize that what they were doing is wrong. Because of the way we have raised our sons, we don't teach them that you're not entitled to any female's body. Even when the Bible talks about spouses, the body belonging to each other, it is not by force. It's by mutual love and submission and consent. Informed consent. So sometimes, you know, I tell my sons, I'm using my sons a lot because we have a lot of conversations. They are 16 and 17. And I tell them, you know, of course they're young now, but I'm telling them in advance. Tell them, you know, even eventually when you grow and you start, you know, preparing, you want to get married and what have you, if you want to hold your partner's hand, you ask, can I hold your hand? You can't just grab somebody's hand like that. If she says no, you stop, you don't. They say, oh really? I say, yeah. You are not entitled. And you know, it's interesting because even when people quote the verse that says the body of the wife belongs to the husband, not woman belonging to man, please. It's not the body of a woman that belongs to a man. The body of the husband belongs to the wife. Now, when they talk about body, they are referring to the genital organs. The Bible says body. Even the brain, the ears, the everything. So why don't you go grabbing your partner's ear, wanting to cut it, or taking the brain because it belongs to you? But now you want to say the genitals belong to you. The Bible doesn't say genitals. It says body. Even the hair. My husband cannot come now starting to cut my hair. Like, I'm cutting this hair, it belongs to me. Neither can I do that. So then how does it come that we now interpret the body to be the genitals? Yes, that is what sometimes people use to control others. The sixth issue, that is, let me say something on gender-based violence so that I'm clear for those who haven't, maybe I've never interacted with. It has never been, it is not, and it will never be the will of God for you to be in a sexually, physically, emotionally abusive relationship. I am telling you, without fear of contradiction. Anybody telling you otherwise, that is engineered by the devil. So if you're in a situation that you're being abused, and I'm not saying about disagreement, I'm saying intentionally, maliciously, you're being abused, you're not presenting your body as a living sacrifice to God. You are presenting your body as a dying sacrifice. It does not benefit anybody. So if you're in an abusive situation, please leave. I'm not saying you divorce because I'm not the one who united you. It was God. So I'm not saying you divorce. I'm saying please separate yourself from that situation so that you're safe and then seek for help. Because there's always help. Now, the sixth challenge faced by women is child marriages. Child marriages. An estimated 140 million girls became child brides between the 2011 and 2020. Girls who marry before the age of 18, they are typically denied an education and they are at risk of complications related to premature childbearing, and they are more vulnerable to intimate partner violence. When I work in a public hospital, and the first time I was posted there about 2 years ago, I was so traumatized. My work doesn't typically involve me going to the wards, but I was just going around for, to get to know what happens. I was so traumatized, I've never gone back there. I found 3 girls. You will find 3 girls, 12, 13, 14, 15, pregnant. They have delivered through cesarean section. The 3 of them, they're on one bed that is 2.5 by 6. You know a bed that is 2.5 by 6? The 3 of them are in that bed with their children. 14, 12. My daughter, the one I told you is not biological, my daughter is 21. She's in university. Let me tell you, I can never imagine her, number 1, being in a relationship. Number 2, I can't imagine her having sex. Number 3, I cannot even in my wildest imagination think of her being pregnant because she's a child. And I have told her clearly that for me, the day we talk about boyfriend is the day you have completed university after 25 and you have a job or you have something you're doing. So I told her between here and then, you're a child and you're in school. So you cannot start telling me boyfriend, I don't know what. I've sent you to read books, not read boys. So we cannot have such conversations. That is now like what? Putting the cart before the horse. I want us to talk about your grades. What skills are you learning? Because if you want to entangle yourself with another human being, when have you learned skills? When have you studied? So please, we are not talking about such discussions. Of course, my sons, even them now, hey, I just tell them, you like that girl, like her from a distance. If it's intellectual conversations, that's okay. But you have got no love or romance to give to nobody. You're a child. Wipe your nose, clean your eyes first before you can, and brush your shoes. Learn how to brush your shoes and brush your teeth before you can even start smiling at somebody, So now, when I was there, I was so traumatized. Wale under 25s, mumesikia. So I was like, my gosh, these children are pregnant, they have delivered. You can see they are clueless. Yani they don't know what is happening to their bodies. Na wako hapo na mtoto. A child with a child. And the hospital is full. Like the oldest, ule mshosho ako 18. Uyo sasa ndio ule mshosho anapata mtoto. But the other ones, young girls. You can imagine how the life of this young girl is going to be. She has dropped in class 6, 7, 5. How is the life of that child going to be? And that's why I told you the initial story. You see the story of that boy? It's an intergenerational. You know the way the Bible says the sin of the fathers are visited to the children and children to the 3rd and 4th generation? This boy was born by a 14-year-old, raised by a relative. I don't even want to imagine what is going to happen downstream. Now you can see what the mother is doing. And even the mother, I feel pity on her. She's 31 with 4 children, 1 adult, and she's already widowed at 31. I mean, I don't know. It's very difficult. So even the mother cannot even begin to visualize this is her son, It's tough. So we need to keep our girls in school and also teach our girls skills to say no. Sometimes when I talk to young girls and they come to me, they say, oh, I had this boyfriend, we were intimate. And then I say, did you want? They say no. I said, then why did you agree? They say, what was I supposed to do? I say, you say no. They say, I can say no. You mean I can say no? I can refuse. I didn't know I could refuse because he was so kind to me. He took me out. He did this. I did not think I can actually refuse. I say, really? You can refuse. You can say no. They totally say, nobody told me I can actually say no. I thought he has been good to me. That is what I do next. Now, the 7th one, I'll be taking if there are any questions. Let me quickly go through. The 7th one is female genital mutilation. These are procedures that intentionally alter or cause injury to the female genital organs for non-medical reasons. FGM causes real health consequences. It violates a child's rights and promotes inequality between the sexes. Let me tell you, it is easy, it has been easy over time to stop FGM among the Maasais for example. You just need to take a Maasai to school. You educate them about the dangers of FGM. According to the report I hear from NGOs, somebody from World Vision told me that. But they said it is so difficult to stop FGM among the kisses because the kisses who are learned, they are doing what we call medicalization of female genital mutilation. They are learned, they are professors, they are in Nairobi. Over December or during the long holidays, they take their daughters for, they call it circumcision. They are taking their daughters and they are educated. So she said it is so difficult for us to stop FGM among the kisses because it's the learned who are doing it and they are doing it with health workers in the hospitals. So you cannot say that mukisia kisoma, they will drop. It is very difficult. And what makes me ashamed is that the bulk of the Adventist church is made up of kisses. So the same kisses who are mutilating their daughters, they are in the church. They are elders. They are women ministries leaders. And then they are mutilating their daughters. Cognitive dissonance. You say this but you don't believe. Maybe you believe it, but you act in the opposite. I have talked to girls, including myself, of course. I've talked to girls who have gone through female genital mutilation. And they are so bitter, especially the ones who the parents were educated. They say, but my dad was an engineer. My mom was a nurse. And I remember them taking us for female genital mutilation at night. And they say they are doing us a favor because they are making us marriageable or whatever. The question, I think maybe not marriageable, but the question I ask, for whose interest is FGM? Is it for the glory of God? Is it benefiting the girl child? Let me tell you the history of FGM as practiced in many communities. FGM, there are two perspectives about female genital mutilation. Number one, it's meant to control the sexual desires of the women. Because the men could marry more than one wife, so they needed to control. Take note of that word, control the sexual desires, because they had many wives. Now, the men now, they are Adventists and they have one wife, and they have already controlled the sexual desire of the wife. So what are they left with? They're left with some of them being unfaithful, and what have you, and saying, our energies don't match. But because the sexual desire of the woman has been controlled, again, who passed the rule, that whatever the rule it was, the culture, the council of elders. Who are the council of elders? Who are the council of elders in many communities? Men. But then, the people who will practice the FGM are not men. There is no man who goes to circumcise or mutilate a girl. It is the women. Because the women have been socialized to look at life through the eyes of men. That is how they look at life. They say, you will not be married, you will not find a husband, you will not do this. So they do it, they perpetuate this vice. So you hear what I'm saying? It's not about men doing it. It's both men and women who form the society. The other perspective is, from some certain communities, FGM was happening as a way of marking girls who are mature for marriage. So it was against the community traditions or laws or whatever to marry a girl who has not been mutilated. Let me just use circumcised for some time. So let's say the girls would be circumcised maybe at 17. I'm just giving us an example. So if you took a girl who is not circumcised, meaning she's below 17, it was actually now that's a child. So they say it was a way of protecting children from being married. But I'm asking, who was that benefiting? Was that benefiting the child? Being mutilated, does that benefit the child? Again, passed by the council of elders. Who are the council of elders? Okay, so let me go to the 8th one and 9th, then I finish. The 8th one is water and sanitation. Women and girls suffer when clean drinking water and hygienic sanitation facilities are in short supply. So you will find, like in the rural areas, women spend so much time looking for water. Not only that, but when we have, like in schools and other setups where we have water and sanitation issues, girls lack proper bathrooms to use, and that means they will often skip school during their monthly periods because they fear embarrassment or stigma. They have no water to clean up, so that will even affect their attendance in schools. Now the 9th one is gender equality. Women and girls worldwide. And I said, these are issues you can find on the General Conference website Adventist Women Ministry. They have been shared for us to share with our churches with the aim of raising awareness so that we can do something about it. So the 9th one is gender equality. 95% of countries in the world, they are led by a male head of state. True or false? 95% they are held by they are 95% of the countries in the world, they are led by a male head of state. You know what I've always wondered? Sometimes even in the language that we use, people say Justice Martha Koome. Were we saying male justice Maraga? Did we say male justice David Maraga? Chief Justice. So why are we saying Lady Justice? It's a protocol. Okay, fine. That's the protocol. Now, let me give another example. Somebody will say, like for example, in the place where I work, someone will come and find you in their office, then they say, ni ule daktari mama. Ule daktari mama is the one who has attended to me. But if I was a man in the office, they will never say daktari mbaba. They just say daktari. They'll say ni daktari ndiye ameniserve. But if it's a lady, they will say daktari mama. So I ask, does it mean kama ni daktari mama ako less qualified? Why do you have to? I was working in another place and we used to go to supervise health facilities. We would go with a gentleman from my office who was like a subordinate. So we would go with him. We go with him, we go to the facility. So we are knocking, we are entering. The person there, the owner of the facility, stands up and says, Daktari ka. They tell this gentleman, Daktari kuja ukae. It was very embarrassing for him. They tell him, Daktari kuja ukae. And then they say, would secretary wako akae ndani ama angoje nje? Then this gentleman would quickly just say, daktari ndio huyu. Then they just look, they say, oh, I'm sorry. But it happened so many times because there was that expectation that they had. And then sometimes you will hear, if people are complaining, like I told you, I supervise students. So sometimes they come to me when they are going to many units, they'll come and say, you are so motherly. Ati nani was supervising us, she's not even motherly. I say, stop it. There's nowhere in my job description I'm supposed to be offering mothering services. So I tell them, you have already gotten it wrong because I'm not supposed to mother anybody. This is work. We are supposed to work. So please, it's not a compliment to tell me I'm mothering. I'm motherly. It's not a compliment. And I keep wondering, if it was a man in my position, would somebody really easily say, you are so fatherly? Rarely do I hear such a thing. I rarely hear it. So sometimes it may be that the expectation you have of a female boss is something that beyond her job description. Nobody, you expect even your boss, because she's female, she serves you tea. You think she's going to... There are no mothering services at the workplace. It is work. So sometimes for me, because I've been bold enough, I quickly correct people speaking. You remember in the morning we said, speak for those who are voiceless, defend the defenseless. So for me, because I can speak, even in church, I normally quickly correct people. Like it will be lunchtime and we are stepping out and then somebody says, hi ma'am, I say stop. Because the next thing you're asking me for food. I can see where you are going. So I say, hi ma'am, I tell them, no, please. Can I just tell you, for the sake of many women who may not speak, the only person you should call ma'am is the one who gave birth to you. So for me, you can see people are nodding. They may not tell you. It's very offensive to start calling somebody ma'am who is not your mother. So for me, I say, it's only my children or my sister's children. And I'm clear, my sister's children. Because in our culture, my sister's children are my children, not my brother's children. Those ones I'm their auntie. So it's only my children and my sister's children who can call me mom. Anybody else, I quickly correct you. Some people appreciate, they say, oh, thank you, I didn't know that. Do you know that even because of the church setup, this church is small, but the big churches, we are encouraging youths to marry, to intermarry in the church. Imagine they are there, our daughters have matured, our sons have matured, they are saying they are no people. Then when you are asking them, but see, they so and so, they say, but that's my sister, that's my brother. Because they call each other sister, brother, until, you know, words are powerful. Until in their mind you see the person as your sister, as your brother. And because your son keeps on calling me mom, he cannot even see my daughter as a potential partner because I'm mom to my daughter, I'm mom to him as well. Please, I am telling you for free, learn to call people by their names. And don't even start calling people Mrs., unless they want to be called that way. Personally, I don't want. So unless they want to be called that way. I'm completing as I take any questions. Many times I have gone to churches, and after I've delivered what I think is a powerful sermon, elders walk to me, then they say, you are husband to Pastor Wu. I mean, not husband, sorry. They come to me, they say, you are wife to Pastor Wu. I say, why? Why are you asking that? You know, like, is your husband a pastor? Because they simply think I cannot speak powerfully unless I have a husband as a pastor. I say, no, my husband is not a pastor. He's not even an elder. He's not even a deacon. He's not even a departmental leader. He's not even a church worker. So they're like, he's not even an usher. So I tell them, no, he's not. Then they say, okay, who is your father? Who is your father? I say, I'm fatherless. Because my father died when I was about 2 years or 1 year, so me, I've got no influence from my father whatsoever. Maybe the genes, because I don't remember, so I grew up fatherless. So I say, I'm fatherless. Then they say, okay, what's the name of your husband? Because they begin thinking, if he's not a pastor or church leader or something, surely your husband must have a familiar name. I'm like, sorry, my husband has got no familiar name. So if I tell you the name of my husband, it is a name you have not heard. So don't even begin thinking that you will know my husband. So they're like, okay, so I was telling my husband and my son that story. I've been asked severally, not once. Then they just say, you know, they think that you cannot speak with power unless that power you are getting it through osmosis from a man. And they will be very disappointed because they think you cannot be a woman in your own right speaking like that, you know. So I just want to say that, please, or they start asking, you are Mrs., you are Mrs. I say, I'm Rose. You are Mrs. I'm Rose. I told you I'm Rose. Do you want to know my second name? You know, but they just want to attach because they want to feel, you're not good enough until we add a Mrs. Let me tell you, I've been married to my husband for over 19 years. In a relatively happy marriage most of the time. So don't even think that I'm saying that because I'm not in a happy marriage. I love my children to bits. But one thing that I know for sure, I was something before I met my husband. I was a lot before I got my children. And in the event that my husband is not there and my children are not there, I will be a lot. I will be extra. Because I know that first I have been called by God alone. Even Abraham was called alone. Even Moses, when he was grazing his father-in-law's cows, his sheep, he was alone. Can you imagine if Moses said that, oh, let me go and consult my wife, and then he goes and starts saying, you know, I think most probably it's like God is saying, do you think he will convince the wife? Moses was convinced, and then Abraham was so convinced that even Lot went with him. Lot just went with him. The Lord called Abraham, Lot went with him. So the Lord is calling you individually. Children, I'm speaking to you. Much more as your parents have brought you to church, the Lord is speaking to you individually. You need to hear the voice of God and you listen to what God is telling you, because your parents are not perfect. They will hurt you. They will disappoint you. They will. It's not about if your parents are going to hurt you. They are going to disappoint you because they are humans. But God will never disappoint you. So if you're putting your faith in your parents, in your friends, in your husband, your wife, flesh and blood, they will shock you. They will disappoint you. And you will feel like you have nowhere you are stepping on. But when you have faith in God, you will say, though he slay me, I will still trust in him. That's the faith that the Lord is calling us to have. I don't know whether, because this was not a sermon, it was an interactive session. If you have any questions or any comments, I will appreciate. Yes, Elder.
So thank you, Rose, for that very good presentation. I remember Daktari from those days when we were in college. She used to talk to us a lot. Yeah. You have addressed the issues that are affecting women worldwide. And I feel some of the issues you have raised are cross-cutting. They affect men or the boy child as well. You know, there have been efforts have been made to empower the girl child to an extent that the boy child is getting neglected. If you look at the work environment in most organizations, there is a lot of focus on ladies. You'll see in advertisements that a lady will be, a female candidate will be preferred, or ladies are encouraged to apply. Where I work, hey, we are very few men. It's ladies everywhere. I think the girl child, we should not complain so much. Ladies are not the way they used to be some 10, 20 years ago. If you look at examination results you look at the statistics of students in school or colleges, or those who are graduating from the universities, you'll see a good number of them are ladies. I remember in medical school, we were with you in medical school, Doctor, you remember, we had a good, I think, more ladies than men in our class in medical school. Well, I don't know about engineering. Engineering, maybe there were few, but in medical school, we had very many ladies. If you compare to what the situation was in the past, ladies are not where they used to be. Yeah. In fact, when we were growing up, you'd not hear of ladies in high offices. Yeah. You'd not hear ladies, heading departments or being cabinet secretaries or whatever. Yeah. So I think a lot has been done. And the church has also tried. The church has tried. If you look at the nominations, or you look at the church leadership structure, church leadership, all the way from the GC, you go to the divisions, you'll see ladies' names appearing somewhere. It means there is quite some effort that has been made. Yeah. But now when you come down to, the church, I agree with you that we need to take some deliberate steps to ensure that we recognize ladies and that we empower them. Deliberate efforts need to be taken. Sometimes ladies themselves, you ladies, you are your own enemies. If a lady runs for office outside there, ladies are more than men. You have more female voters than men. You don't vote for those female candidates. You want to vote for men. So you can't blame men for that, because some of those are elective positions. And right now there are ladies who want to be governors. They are candidates. Why can't ladies vote for them? Ladies will go and vote for men, and then they say, oh, there are no ladies in parliament, I don't know what. Sometimes you have to also take a portion of the blame.
I will respond, yeah. Can I respond?
Yeah, okay.
Thank you so much for that comment. So I wanted to respond just to say, as I said, I will just repeat, it's not a blame of any gender, because the issues faced by a gender, they are not perpetrated by one gender. Let me begin by responding to the last one. I find it a problem, like if I have two candidates, one is a man, the other one is a female, then I vote for somebody just because they are a woman. I wouldn't do that. I vote for somebody because they are a good candidate. So I find it problematic if already we look at people in terms of, because of they are my gender, let me do this. Because sometimes you may actually end up voting for the wrong people because they are our gender. And I don't know maybe about the one of ladies being their own worst enemies, but as we said, is that some of the issues perpetuated by society, they make both gender, men and women, look at life through the eyes of men. You see, you will see like when mothers are preparing their daughters for marriage, even in church actually, in bridal showers, the bride is told and told and told how to keep a marriage, how to take care of a man, how to take care of children, how to take care. Nobody hardly ever tells the lady how to take care of herself, her mental, physical health. So she goes and she literally burns down. Because she's so busy taking care of people, she ends up being angry, bitter, and resentful. So for me, I would vote for somebody based on the person. And by the way, let me tell you, it is not necessarily that ladies, women are better than men when it comes to leadership or when it comes to corruption. No. There's somebody who said one time that women do not steal. If they steal, they have been used by men. That's not true. That's not true. If we put a standard and say that ladies are better, they will not be corrupt. Maybe, but I really don't think so. Do you know that there are many adult children I spoke to and they were so damaged by their mothers? You think that a mother is loving, a father is one who is abusive. That's not true. Do you know how many men are abused by their wives emotionally? Actually, statistics show that when it comes to physical abuse, more women are abused. But when it comes to emotional abuse, the statistics are equal. So, when we put that women are better, we put a standard for them that is superhuman. So you think that because she's a woman, she will not steal, she will be motherly, she will do this, she will do this. We have a lot of expectations. So for me, I just break it down to this. Let's be fair. Let's treat somebody as a human being. First of all, as a human being. And let them do something as a human being without saying, oh, but this is a woman, this is a man. One time, if you go to YouTube, I've done a lot of what do we call them? Panel discussions in many churches. During COVID, we were talking about domestic violence, Nairobi Central SDA Church. I was cyberbullied a lot because of my position and some of the things I said. And I remember one time, my son told me, in fact, one of the shows we did was meant to be aired on Hope Channel. It could not be aired. It could not be aired. The person told me, the presenter told me that he will lose his job if he airs some of the things that we were saying in one of the churches. So I told my sons watched the clip and I said, just tell me the things I have said, what is wrong? Have I said something that is... They said, no, mommy, you don't realize if a man sat on your seat and said exactly the same things you said, the man is going to be applauded and clapped for because what you're saying is truth. But simply because you are a female, you are in a skirt and you have said these things, there's a problem. The TV station cannot air because you're a woman and you're saying these things. You see? So that's why I'm saying that can we treat people as human beings? Like we look at them as humans first of all. In 2018, I was speaking in a camp meeting in one of our Adventist universities. I was called by the chaplain to go and speak. Camp meeting, you can see it online. When I looked at the speakers, we were 3 main speakers, ladies, only women. I was to do family life. One of the ladies was to do stewardship. Then the chief guest was a female pastor from North America. So I noticed, I asked the chaplain, it's all ladies. Again, forgive me. I noticed they are ladies, but if they were men, I may never have noticed. So I said, they are ladies. He said it's deliberate. Most camp meetings, we have been having only male speakers. This time I've decided it will be female speakers. So we went to speak. He told me, when this lady came, the pastor from North America, Black American, and she was speaking, some theology students went to him very furious. One theology student went very furious. He said, Pastor, how can you bring a woman to be the main speaker? He said, wait, she's a pastor. He said, yeah, but how can you bring her? We don't even know her marital status. We don't know whether she's married. Then the chaplain said, wait, the content she's teaching, is she theologically sound? They said, yeah, she has content. Do you have a problem with her teachings? They said, no, she's powerful. Then what's the problem? She's a woman. We don't know her marital status. Does she have a husband? Does she have children? I am telling you a true story. Then the pastor said, the chaplain said, please, if you were telling me that what she's teaching is heresy or something that is not theologically or biblically sound, we will discuss. When we have been bringing male speakers, have you ever asked for their marital status? Have you ever? They said no. Then the pastor responded, he wanted to trigger this student. He said she could even be divorced, who knows? And then this student asked, what? You're bringing a divorced woman to speak to us? The pastor said, yeah, listen to her message. He was being very intentional. And he told us, this chaplain, that there is one country in Zambia. He said in Zambia, women don't speak from the pulpit. Women don't go to the pulpit. Maybe things have changed. And this pastor told us every year he gets invited to Zambia to go and do. In fact, it's Pastor Kesis, to be specific, a pastor I admire and respect so much. So Pastor Kesis said, he said this publicly, so I can say, he said when he goes to Zambia to preach, he makes sure during that camp meeting women go to the pulpit. And the people get so furious, and he says, let them come. That is when women step in the pulpit when he is preaching. He says, I'm going with a woman. But women don't step in the pulpit because they believe women are defiled. And women cannot even preach pray in a congregation. Never mind that many people who lead worship at home, they are women. But when they come to church, something happens along the way, they get defiled. And they cannot pray, they cannot even speak. So what I just want to say for me, just to put it simple, and sometimes I don't like engaging in gender wars, and even sometimes I have had speakers who say, oh, women are like this, men are like this, treat a woman like this, treat a man like that. Complicated. Me, I don't want to complicate my life. I say, do unto others as you would done unto you. The way you are treating your husband, for example, would you like somebody to treat your son like that? The way you are treating your wife, would you like your daughter to be treated like that? You will be amazed that when I have empowerment seminars, men pay for their daughters and they bring them. But when their wives want to come, they stop them. They say, if you listen to Rose, utakuwa kichwa ngumu. But then I say, but you're bringing for me I'm telling you, you're bringing for me your daughter. And I ask them, but so what is good for your daughter is not good for your wife. Then they say, oh, I've never looked at it that way. And it's not even the women paying for their sons, their daughters. They pay, they bring their daughters. But the wife, they're like, ukipatana na Rose utakuwa kichwa ngumu. So they want to control their wives, but they want their daughters to be empowered, really. Okay, thank you for that. And okay, I think she already has the mic, then her.
Sorry, I just wanted to add a comment. It's usually a topic I'm very passionate about. I want to say, as much as Daktari here is saying men have been left behind, I do agree. But as a society, we still have a very long way to go. And I'll speak, as long as you're not the shoe wearer, you wouldn't understand. And I'll speak as a woman in the corporate world who's trying to fight my way through it. And I'll give a very simple example. So I join with a male counterpart, a company, same time, same qualification, we hold everything constant, right? I happen to get married, right? So in my profession, I'm in sales. Sales is a profession that is predominantly male, right? Predominantly male. So what I noticed in my career is when I did get married, anytime assignments came that needed me to relocate, my boss will never bring that to me. Why? He made the decision on my behalf. That Brenda is married, there is no possible way she can relocate with the husband. And I had to sit my boss down and tell him, bring that decision to me. Let me say no. Then you will say you have given me the choice. Second, I get pregnant, right? Male counterpart, same level, right? Everything same. We assume performance is the same. We are both stellar in our work. I get pregnant. Workplaces try to avoid this discussion, but whether you like it or not, maybe I'm using the wrong words, I lose about 1.5 years compared to my male counterpart. Right? It's reality. We try to say diversity and inclusion in the workplace, but I get pregnant, 9 months. I'll probably not function in my department at full force as a person who's not pregnant, which is true, right? After that, I get 6 months maternity or 3 months. So mukiesabu hiyo simefika 1 and something. Then when I come back, the workplace allows me to leave at 3 so that I can go see the baby, breastfeed and all these things, right? So before I know it, and I've seen it in my workplace because we joined with male counterparts, and when some of them got pregnant, when some ladies got pregnant, they lost 1.5 years and 2 years. And it's reality. And the thing that I always try tell young girls, even in the workplace, it's good my husband has walked in when I'm talking. So he will be very familiar with what I'm saying because it's a passionate discussion we have with him in the house. And I also say even dealing with sexual harassment within the workplace. And I remember, I think we had a discussion some time back when someone was speaking about bringing the boys along, and we were having a discussion when the family hub was happening. And I told him, you do not know what it means being a woman in a workplace. Because when sexual harassment happens, you need to have a conversation with yourself first before you have the guts to bring it up. First, you have to have a workplace that allows you to speak up first, right? Because either the person who's doing it is a person in a position of power, and you have to figure out what the repercussions for your job is when you speak up and say, you know what you did is not right. It may mean promotions will never, ever come your way. And you need to be comfortable with that choice having been made on your behalf because you chose to voice it. So when I say that there are still things we need to do for women, it's because we are still not there. As much as it looks like ladies have gotten there, we are still not where we need to be. Because sometimes I see, even now when I enter a boardroom to speak, and I think it's a recent, it's something recent that happened to me. Even when you enter a boardroom, you start noticing male people, you're all the same level, and they start speaking over you. Have you seen that? I don't know, women in corporate, they start speaking over you in that boardroom. And you have to keep telling people, wait for me to finish speaking. Listen to me to the very end. And you have to be given a pep talk about how to assert your, when you get to certain levels, they start taking you aside. Like, I think recently my boss took me aside and told me how to assert my, what is it called? My position where I am, so that people feel like I'm holding, the department of Zito, so that people can feel I had to be given that talk, so that people don't step all over me. And I think it's unfair to have to give a lady that talk, because what you're trying to tell me is I need to behave like my male counterparts, to be a boss like my male counterparts. But I should be allowed to be a lady boss, be empathetic, and no one thinks that I am weak by being empathetic. That it should be my strength, right? As a lady boss, that people should feel comfortable to walk into my office and talk to me about things they will not ordinarily talk to a male boss. But when that is seen in the workplace, it is a weakness for women. And that is why you can have women trying to behave like male bosses to assert their power. And it is not needed. So we still have a very long way to go in that sense. And I'll give an example that happened to me last week, something very recent. So last week we drove here with my car, and a young man wanted my car for the wedding. But my husband had the key. So he didn't come to ask anyone. He asked my husband for that car. Of course, my husband responded on our behalf. Afterwards, I said to him like a joke, I told him, but the car is mine. Why did the person ask you for my car? You get my point. The thing, it's something so simple, but someone bypassed. There's no way it seemed like, and it seems something very simple, but when it grows in magnitude, it grows in workplaces, people bypassing you, and all these things. And I think we still have a lot of work to do with women. That's what I want to say.
Thank you so much. So much more, the shift is more on the mindset. Because you can be somewhere, you can be in a position, please be giving her, but the mindset is, the mind change shift. I've tried to raise my boys to be very consciously aware. I used to drop my son to school, my 10-year-old last year. So one time we have a bigger car and a smaller car. I have the bigger car, my husband has the smaller car, he's okay with it, and he goes to work with it. So I'm driving, and then a neighbor stops us. No, I'm saying hi to a neighbor. My son is at the back. Then he says, mama ni wewe, leo unaenda na ya mzee. Leo unaenda na gari ya mzee. Ni wewe kumbe. Because I think he was waving at us because he thought it's my husband. My husband is more known in the village. So he's waving because he said, kumbe mama ni wewe, leo unaenda na ya mzee. I looked at my son looked at me. I didn't know, now I said I continued driving. I don't know how I responded. My son asked, Kwani, does it mean that it's only the man who can have the bigger car? He doesn't know this is your car? Does it mean, he was not understanding. He said, but does it mean it's the man who can have the bigger car? How many times do people come to our home and they hear ni kwa daktari, then when I come they say daktari yako wapi? Because they are thinking daktari is the husband. He's happy not being the doctor. But then people will be asking, daktari yako wapi? So my kids look at me, we look at each other, we say, can you see the mind shift? They just think possibly it cannot be. It cannot be the woman, who is the daktari here. So it's more about the mindset, really. And sometimes I say, maybe some of us are already set in our ways. But can we raise the younger generation? And I think the point you're saying, daktari, about leaving the boy child behind, for me, I look at it much more on, because we have raised our men to think that they're the ones who have to be earning more, doing more. So sometimes when they are not doing more, they feel like they have been left behind. But for me, I feel it's not a competition. That's what I feel. It's not a competition. If I'm earning more money than my husband, which has been the case, we are happy to put it together and use it because it's our money. So I was asking my son the other day, okay, for you, what do you think? He said, it's for both of you. Me, when I look at you as my parents, whatever you are doing, I believe it's for both of you. Because I don't think that it's yours, it's mine. So sometimes also it could be the socialization. And yes, the girl children are doing very well, but I'm still troubled by the impression that, or the messages being sent to girls that get a man to take care of you. I'm still troubled. Because why are you expecting the man to take care of you, and KCSE, KCP, you are doing well, you are the one who are more, even in the evening programs. Why then are you looking for a man to depend on? I have talked to ladies who are doing extremely well, earning 6-figure, not one, not two. And then they start telling me, I'm really looking for a man. I'm like, tell me why. I'm trying to understand. I'm not saying that they don't need a man. They do. But I'm asking, okay, why do you need to be in a relationship? They say, I want someone to take care of me. You are earning 500,000. I asked, tell me, take care of you how? Take me out. Buy for me this. I said, please help me understand. Are you seeing the mind shift? Are you seeing the mind shift? Yeah, the mind needs to change. Be ye transformed by the renewing of the mind. Yeah, yeah, really. Kwani, are you a child? Are you a kitten? Are you a pet to be taken care of? What are you talking about? Every time my husband and I go out with our children, it has always been automatic. We split the bill. Like there's no discussion. It has always been the case. We go, we eat. If he picks for the food, I pick for the drinks. It just comes naturally. Like it doesn't. Sometimes we fight over the bill. I'm like, just bring. So our kids have always seen, I pick, he picks drinks, I pick, and we pay. So I would be very surprised if my kids get into a place and they are just seated. And sometimes I say daughters of Jezebel, and they get very angry at me. I'm like, you just sit. Unaitisha kukunusu, bajia, zingine ubebe, bili ya 5,000. Na kama ni pesa yako, you would never spend that amount of money. Ordinarily, you walk. Are you seeing the mind shift? Ordinarily, you walk or you use a matatu. But because the man has told you, as he's taking you on a date, you want to Uber. You don't Uber ordinarily. Unapanda matatu or you walk. Why now do you want to Uber? Because a man is taking you out? Why are you carrying... I don't know. Why are you carrying a handbag you cannot afford? Why do you want to wear a shoe you can't afford? Why are you putting a wig you can't afford? Why are you applying things on your face that will give you cancer and you can't even afford them? Why? Why should it be somebody's responsibility? Everyone should take care of themselves. Why do you want to be moved to a neighborhood you can't afford? They rent for you, they rent your body. Then don't complain if your body is being rented, because they have rented for you. Where has he gotten the money that you can't get it from? Really. So it's a relationship is not, I've said many times, it's not a charity project. It's not an evangelistic campaign. Neither is it a mission project. It is a mutually, mutually beneficial. Nobody should be rescuing another. And I think we read the wrong book. Cinderella, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty. We read the wrong books, I think. Okay, let me... I've finished now. Okay, please. Okay, maybe we will take... Let me see. Okay. Now, let me tell you. Let me say something. Ladies are very angry at me. No, not the ladies here. Not the ladies here. The ladies online. I have evidence. When I was at Victory SDA Church, you can go online. There's one of the videos I talked about how to raise a girl, a woman after God's own heart, a daughter after God's own heart. One of the clips that was taken is that one which I said, you go to Java and you want to eat and everything. Somebody cut that clip. They shared it on social media, where I was talking about daughters of Jezebel stressing our sons. They want to Uber and ordinarily they walk. So when that clip, I saw it, somebody tagged me. And the women and girls are so angry at me. And they're saying I'm defending the sons of Pharaoh. They are really angry at me. But the men are happy. The men are happy because the men have received messages. They are saying, those sons of Pharaoh of yours, let them man up. If they are not ready, let them not take us out. I'm like, are you a kitten? Are you a dog to be petted, to be taken as a pet? So I just want to say that I received so many messages from men saying, preach, that's the message. But the women and girls are so angry. Ati unasema tusibebe tukinunuliwa. I'm like, we unabeba na pesa yako? We ubebi? Si we unakula ugali ya jana na sturungi, breakfast. But the day unaona, just because it's my son taking you out, you want to behave exotic. You want to eat things you can't even pronounce. They may be prawns and shrimps. Okay, go ahead.
Happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath. Okay, me, I'm asking, why have we gone long? Because I'm a teacher, and we have challenges in school. I had a child, a PP2 child of 5 years, and the child was very naughty. He was beating others all the time, hurting them, and it was, okay, I was very stressed because of that. So when I disciplined that child, the parent was not happy. The parent came and he went to principal and he said that I'm beating his child. Then, after the principal told me to stop that. But I was disciplining the child with love, just a little bit. Then what happened, God fought for me. When the child went to grade 1, he met a very tough teacher. And the child was doing the same, and he was more than what he was doing when he was in PP2. So he started beating other children, pouring water to the books of the other children, beating them, hurting them. Even one child was being hurted on the eye. He had a lot of challenge. Then the child was also abusing the parent of those children and was saying, okay, alikuwa natukanana. Anaambia baba yako, I don't know either I say it, anasema baba yako na mama yako waambie ni mata. So I don't want to finish. So the child was doing a lot. Then you know what happened? The parents came, for about 7 parents, and flocked to deputy's office. Then the mother and the father came. They were being called. The mother was crying there outside. Me, I was just there, going aloud, seeing what was going on. So they were being called in the office, and the parents were being given warning by the deputy because the child was so bad. So I don't know where we have gone wrong as parents. We are not bringing up our children in the right way. Look for Eli. Eli died because of his children. He never brought them in the right way. People are complaining about those children, but the Eli did nothing about it. Then I had another child, a friend of mine, a young lady. She went for nursing. Then there was a lot of challenges. Young people were killing one another. Okay, they were taking alcohol. Then they go inside a room, they kill one another, fighting and whatever. So she told me that he had 2 cases. One lady was thrown from a 3rd floor. The lady was pregnant to that man. Then that man said, please go and abort that. The lady said, no, I will not abort. This is my first child. How can I abort? He insisted, go and abort. I don't want that child. Then the lady said, I will ever, never. Then what happened? The young man, thrown the girl from 3rd floor up to down. Then he broke her legs, the 2 legs. Another case, a gentleman, a young man and a lady, they were fighting. They had gone to a party. Then after that, they went to a room. Then what happened? They fought because they had alcohol. They fought throughout the night. Then the young man took a sharp object and knocked the young lady in his head. Then the lady fainted. So the young man thought the lady had died. So what he did, he took a mshipi, then he hanged himself and he died. Then after some time, the lady woke up. Then he saw the man had died. From that time up to now, that lady is suffering a lot because of what happened. So this young girl was telling me, whatever I have seen, I will ever never relate myself to those things. So, madam, I'm asking, where have we gone wrong? We as Christians, the community, the society. Na Mungu akiwa mbinguni anaonaje? Are we bringing our child in the right way? Because the Bible says, yani muonyeshe mtoto wako njia angali mdogo. Na hata waitoka kwa hiyo njia. Na inikezi atoke ataru. So where have we gone wrong?
Okay, so thank you. That's a broad question and observation. I will just narrow it down. We may not cover the entirety of it for this time that we have. So I want to say that every behavior that you see is as a result of something. There is no behavior that occurs in a vacuum. When I was raising my older children, I used to beat them when they have done something. I don't do that anymore. Because I realized whatever they are doing is a reaction or a response to something. All of us, no matter whether you deny it or not, you are doing what you did because of something. It's a reaction to something, including me speaking to you today. I speak to people passionate about the topic because of something, because I'm coming from somewhere. We are all coming from somewhere. So when we look at behavior in a vacuum, we don't solve any problems. And especially, you know, when you see, I would think like that child, by the time that's an angry child, and that's a child who is going through a lot. Punishing them, scolding, whatever will not help. It may stop the behavior because now the child is directing anger at others. The child will direct anger at themselves. Then over time, suicide, depression, self-harm. It usually is a progression. So for me, I will look at it as an indication that there's something that needs attention. It's like when you are driving your car and you see a light, you can see the light coming on the dashboard. You don't decide to switch off the car or crash the car. You don't do that. You say, this car is speaking, there's something. So for me, I just want to say, if we are in tune and we are sensitive and aware, we can solve it. I mean, not solve really, but we can begin to address the issues. It's important to listen to children. It's important to listen to young people because they also have feelings. One thing that I'm currently facing in my own home is that my children no longer find the services in our church, my church, engaging. They no longer connect, they are no longer deriving much value. And because I have raised them to be very open, they will tell me when we go home, Mama, today I was in church the whole day, I had nothing. And I got nothing. So they are telling me, like my older boys tell me, so in the afternoon, we decided to go with our friends to the old sanctuary to bond. That way we derived some value than sitting in the afternoon to utter boredom and dry messages from adults. And you know, when they tell me that, no, they are saying the truth. When they say that, I sat down, I told them, you know, my son, you're right. I actually got nothing as well. I'm being honest. I also got nothing. So am I expecting my children a message that it was irrelevant to me, I didn't connect with it? Am I expecting, and half of the time the system is bad, the sound system is bad? How do I expect my children to connect with something that I can't connect with? So I don't expect my children to sit down, they are not getting anything, but they must sit because Mommy has said you sit. They keep that anger. The day they get out of my hold, they will leave the church. They will leave. Because they were being forced to remain. So for me, when my kids told me that, I said, let's talk about it. What can we do? They said, just think, as we are not, and it's not one time, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with my church leaders or anything, but it's just that sometimes you may find you have outgrown certain things. So we talked, and I told them, what would you like? They said, let's move. We are moving churches. They said, we want to move churches. I said, can you give me ideas? Can you give me suggestions? And they gave me suggestions. They said, let's go try here, there. We see if we are connecting with the message. Because sometimes we think adults and leaders are always right. No, we are not. Even Eli was not right. We are not. We make mistakes and we need to let our young people talk to us. And I just said, okay, because I know so many young people who have been raised in the church, Pathfinder, adventurers, ambassadors, they are in Mavuno Church now. They are in Sitam. Because they are like, we get content. And my son was telling me the same thing. I listen, I say, Leo Nachoma, I may not be invited to speak, but it's all right. They say, but I sat down and I listened to an online message from this church and there was content. Are our speakers prepared? Are we preparing, or do we happen on people and speak our feelings and speak our ideas and thoughts without content? We read that song that was saying, read your Bible, pray every day. Are we even connecting with the message that we are passing to the people? Really? Me, I don't have kind words to a speaker who comes and they waste my time. Or you think when somebody comes to the pulpit here, a miracle happens if you have not prepared? You must prepare. Take time, prepare, and connect with the message. And then, so it's important for us to listen to our children, to our young people. In short, I can say, whatever you are seeing, that young child is communicating something. I wish that as parents and teachers and everybody, we can begin addressing the issue from that early age. Because if we don't address, these are the candidates of suicide, self-harm, and even abusing other people. Anytime I counsel troubled children who are adults, then I ask the parents, tell me about this child. Without exception, the parents always say, when this child was growing up, we noticed they were lying. We noticed they were stealing. We noticed they used to bully their siblings. I was in a church at some point, and there was I remember growing up, children were growing up in church. There was a boy from a certain family, identity withheld. This boy used to really bully the siblings. And he used to bully the other children in the class. And the teachers in the church, as unequipped as they can be, the teachers used to beat him. They would beat this boy, then report to the mother. Then I remember the mother saying, he's a headache even at home. Even at home, he's bullying the siblings, the younger siblings. Chapa kabisa, chapa. So this boy alikuwa anachapa. I had younger children. Alikuwa anachapwa kanisa, anachapwa shule. In fact, the mother was a teacher where he was going to school, anachapwa nyumbani kila mahali. Let me tell you, the story does not have a good ending. Less than 2 years ago, he was in university, he committed suicide. Loving family, Bible-believing Adventist church, demon-chasing, heaven-bound, spirit of prophecy quoting. The child committed suicide. So for me, when it happened, I remembered that this child used to bully others, and the solution, chapa kabisa. So you chapa, you suppress. The child was communicating something. Maybe they were feeling they are not heard, they are not understood, they are not felt. We should have addressed. 2 weeks ago, I was speaking to teachers and parents in Nigeria. And I was speaking to them, we were talking about trauma. And we were saying that some children come to us who are traumatized. And as teachers, because we are overwhelmed, we kick and beat and do whatever and suppress them. Then we say, unaona, nilichapa squeezy. Squeezy anakaa tu anatulia na anasoma. Direct anger inside. Sooner than later, they either kill themselves or they kill somebody else. Then we start saying, but he was such a good boy. Alikuwa misbehave, tukachapa, tukalainisha. Kwani what happened? It is not that it happened. It's a process. Things have been happening until finally, things fall apart. I don't know whether there's a final one. I can see our time has gone. If there's anybody else maybe would like to ask a question, make a comment, a final one before we finish.
What about for young people that I have informed you? The young people, those who killed one another.
Oh yeah, so that's what I was saying. There is no person. It is not normal for a human being to kill another. It is not normal for a human being to kill another. So by the time you are seeing somebody is getting to the point of killing somebody else or even harming another person, it has been a process. It has been a journey. Most likely, and I can say almost 100% certainty, they have had struggles from childhood. Maybe there was violence in their home. Maybe they felt they were not loved. Maybe they felt they were not understood. Maybe something. And I'm not blaming parents, because even these parents were children. And there are many things that we do culturally and even within our socialization. We think that is the right thing, but we are suppressing. We are just waiting. It will come back to bite us. So it's not, I just want to say it's not normal or natural for somebody to want to kill another. It's a process, and you cannot begin by looking at the behavior. You have to look at the root cause. Many times when people come to me and they think I'm going to wave a magic hand or wand, and or a potion to solve the problem. Like someone was calling in the other day saying, I'm so desperate due to marriage counseling. My marriage is falling apart. I'm so desperate. Can we talk now? I said, no, now I'm in something. We'll talk over the weekend. It's so urgent. I said, no, there's no marriage problem that is urgent. There is no marriage problem that is an emergency. Because statistics show that by the time people have marriage problems and they are seeking for help, they are between 5 to 7 years late. As in, the problem has been there on average 6 years. So you can't tell me that you have taken 6 years to go from here to I don't know where, then suddenly you think by one instant word, that is, speak a word, and whatever we have undone in 6 years is going to come back. No, it's a journey, it's a process, and you have to commit to the process. It's not an emergency. The same thing I would say, even if you discover, worst case scenario, your child is taking drugs, or something, or maybe watching something, and you want to overreact and shout and yell and scream, it's not an emergency. By the time you are discovering, that thing started many years ago. So you had better calm down, breathe in and out, seek your own counseling, talk to somebody, then you begin addressing it slowly. It is never an emergency. Unless you can see maybe somebody has poison, they want to commit suicide, then you say you grab. But if it's a behavior that has gone on for long, that's a process. You can't just wake up. So even for the young people, you are saying, the lady who said she's traumatized, yes, she is. But even for her to have gotten herself to be with somebody who tried to strangle her, I'm not blaming her, there's a lot of work that she needs to do. There's something in her internal system that attracted her to an abusive person. And finally, just to say that I always tell people that even for you who is in an abusive relationship, there's a reason why you're there. And the question I usually ask people, the first question, and they get angry, why are you there? Because they come say, oh, my husband, my wife, imagine they did this, imagine they did this. So you are the victim. You tell me, I let you speak 1 hour. Then I ask, so why are you with him? Or why are you with them? There is always something you are getting. There's a trade-off. You're not a victim. You are an active responder. You're also responding to something you are getting. So I say, no, you must take your power back and realize you have chosen. Nobody is helpless. There's no gun on your head telling you stay there. There's a reason why. So I say, yes, you may want to leave if your life is in danger, because you need to keep safe. But beyond physically living, you must work on yourself. Because if you don't work on yourself, the reason why you got into that situation and you stayed there, you will simply move from the frying pan to the fire. You will get from that abuse to another one, because you need to deal with why in the first place did you get yourself there. And for the lady you said, you see, the young man didn't wake up one day and started strangling her. He didn't. It was a process. He shouted at her, he shook her, he mistreated her, maybe he killed her pet. The other day I was told of another lady who cooked food. The food didn't cook properly. So she gave it to the dogs. The food didn't cook properly for some reason. So she decided to give it to the dogs. Then the husband came and said, you love the dogs more than us. He took these dogs, killed them, burnt them, and buried them behind their house because they were given food that didn't cook. So when I was being told the story, I asked, this lady is still in that home? The lady, because now the lady was crying, saying he has done that to the dog. I said, you're still in that home. So I said, before you come to talk to me, just leave. Leave immediately, because that's a murderer. That person will kill you. It's not about if he will kill you, it's about when he's killing you. So he had been threatening many things, but eventually he had killed the dogs. So there's usually a progression. No human being wakes up to kill another. It's a progression. So I said, I'm afraid if you start talking to me when you are still there, you may still be killed when you are still there. The next person is you. Killing dogs because they have been given food, you burn them and you bury them with your own hands? It's not normal. I can't even kill a chicken. Anyway. Okay, good. I think I've responded. Was there a final one? Then I can call it, we can complete. Okay. I don't know what that means. People are smiling and laughing. I don't know the meaning. So I want to maybe just make the closing remarks. Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm so glad that finally I told you there are times I should have come before, but I wasn't able to come. So I'm glad that I've been able to come on this Adventist Women Ministry Day. And I just want to say, just as you have seen, the issues affecting women, they are human rights issues. They are not about mambo ya wamama. they're about issues that are affecting real human beings. They're about issues affecting women, humans, and women, women are human beings. And I just want to ask all of us, in whatever decision that you make, whatever choice that you make, whatever you do, please be consciously aware. Just be conscious that the people you are treating, the way you are treating them, they are also human beings. Even before you look at, you say, oh, gender, oh, what, women are like that, men are like that. Sometimes I hear people saying, men are dogs, men will cheat on you. I say, really, which men? My brothers are not like that. My husband is not like that. My sons are not like that. My sister's husbands are not like that. So I don't know which men you're talking about, really. You may want to take responsibility and say, this is the man, and how have I enabled him to behave this way? Or sometimes saying, women will always do this, women do this. Honestly, just ask yourself, are you treating the other person as a human being? Or are you simply generalizing just because of an event that you went through and placing it on the gender? Because some of the issues people do, some of the things people do, it's not because they are women or men, but it's because they are individuals, it's because they are people, it's because they are human beings. Nobody is perfect. Yeah, that one is very clear. And again, the Lord has called us to a higher standard. That even as the church of God, can we stand apart so that the way we treat our young ones, the way we treat our women, the way we treat our men, the way we treat our youth, can we treat them differently? Can we treat them as human beings? Finally, let me say this before I finish. Every time I go to a church, and I just sit here and I see elders choristering. Me, I know I don't belong here. Nimechoma. I sit here in a church, and the church they are claiming to have 75% young people. From morning, it's elders and women ministries people choristering. You look at the deaconate, it is women ministry and elders or whatever who are doing deaconary work. Over there, I just know that we don't have a church of tomorrow. Because we say the young people, this is the church of tomorrow, and the tomorrow is now. If we make our young people, our young girls and boys disenfranchised, they feel like they don't have a stake in the church. How can they identify themselves with this church that alienated them? Even when we talk about faith of our fathers, our fathers, they did not become our fathers when they were young, they were old, did they? They became patriarchs and what have you when they were young. So by the time they are growing older, they are growing with their faith. Can we be sensitive that even this youth, even these young people, they need mentorship, they need guidance? When we see people coming to the pulpit, and every time except Women Ministries Day, 90% of the time it's men at the pulpit. What message are we sending to our daughters? Are we sending the message that you don't matter, that God cannot speak to you? I don't know what Bible we are reading, because for me the Bible says very clearly in the book of Joel that in the latter days the Spirit of the Lord is going to be poured on your sons, on your daughters. There is no male or female. The Spirit of the Lord is not gender specific, but the Spirit of the Lord is poured on everybody. So as a church, I just want to say, let's be very sensitive on the gender issues. That even when we are saying, we are nominating people for this and for that, it may sometimes not come naturally, but let's just be aware that our young people are watching, and that is a church we are expecting to be raised, the church of tomorrow. May God bless you. Okay, let's pray. Father, in Jesus' name, we thank you so much for speaking to us. Where we have gone against your will, we ask for your forgiveness. It's my prayer that you will give us the Berea spirit, that we may not just be hearers, but also doers of the word. We pray even for those who joined us online, that you may be with them, that if there is any word I said that is not clear, that is confusing to your people, please, I pray that you may illuminate the word and you may help them to search and read and have clarity. I pray that you be with us even as we live. For those who are in jobs, I pray that you bless them with favor and promotions. For those who are in business, Lord, I pray that you bring customers their way in this past week. I pray even as this church is looking for resources to do a sanctuary for your honor and your glory, I just want to pray that you may provide. Open windows of opportunity, Lord, that no man can close. May you provide that we don't bring your name into reproach by the manner in which we worship, by the manner in which we do our things. Please, dear Jesus, we pray that you may hold us together, bind us together with cords that cannot be broken. We pray this believing and trusting in the name of Jesus, our Lord and Savior. Amen. And by the way, finally, now this is offside. I want to applaud and congratulate the building committee for the fantastic work that you have done. I don't know much. I may not know the practicality of building, but I know a good house when I've seen it. I know it. So when I have seen here, even when we step with our shoes, we don't hear gong, gong, gong. So you have done a fantastic job. Yeah. We don't hear with our heels. So I know that whoever did this work is a professional. I'm not a professional in this, but I can tell. And by the way, you may just think that it's just something. But let me tell you, by you doing this, you're actually retaining the young people in the church. Did you know that? You are retaining the young people in the church. Do you know that our young people are leaving our churches because ni matope na mabati? They are living, I'm telling you, because they will see in us, in a place where we have churches, we have Pentecostal churches and everything, beautiful cathedrals. They walk to the Adventist church, matope, mabati. Kule nje, we have parked our Vanguards and Mercedes there. And the home they are coming from, it's a beautiful home.